नहमदु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. In this lesson we will be looking at the Arabic alphabets, and then we will be also looking at that how many vowels are there, and finally we will be looking at the double vibration, which is called as the tanween. In Arabic there are altogether 28 alphabet. As you can see in this table, there are 4 rows and 7 columns. Within the first cell, if you look at, we have written 2 alphabets together. The reason for that one is that the sound of this alphabet and the sound of alphabets are exactly the same. So that's why it's been written over there. Now, alphabet serves 2 purposes. The first purpose is that the name of the alphabet itself, and then the second purpose is the sound. So let's see the name of it. The first one is alif. Second within this cell is hamza, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, dhal, ra, za, sin, sheen, صاد, ضاد, طا, ظا, عين, غين, ثا, قاف, كاف, لام, ميم, نون, واو, ha, ya. Now when these alphabet joins together, they would form words. And let's take the example first from English. The word flower is made of F-L-O-W-E-R. So that's the spelling of the flower. Now if you look closely, it consists of consonants, that is F-L-W-R, and there is another thing which you see is the vowels. So that is O-E altogether. So when consonant and vowels comes together, they form the word. But consonant and the vowel, both of them belongs to the alphabet of English. Now let's see how the Arabic alphabets behaves. When Arabic alphabets come together, they also form the words. And let's take an example. Kitabun. A word in Arabic is called as kalima, and that means it's only meaningful words. In chat we use lol, L-O-L, which doesn't mean anything, but we still hear them a lot. So that is not a kalima in Arabic. Kalima is only those words which have a meaning. So now let's analyze this kitabun. Kitabun is a book in Arabic. Now kitabun is made of ka with this thing, ta, and alif and bun. You can see that this is the alphabet, that's the alphabet, that's the alphabet, and that's the alphabet. But just below the alphabet, this, and above the alphabet, these are some diacritical signs that are written below or above some alphabet to make those words. So this kitabun is basically consists of consonants, that is ka, ta, alif, and ba. That's the consonant, and that belongs to the alphabet table. We look at ka with this diacritical sign, ta with that diacritical sign, and then this one. So these are the vowels of Arabic. These vowels do not belong to the alphabet table, and they are totally different species. These are just the signs written above or below a letter. When you pronounce it, they give you a kind of a vibration. So this letter is then being vibrated by this thing, that letter is being vibrated by that one. So these kind of vowels are also called as vibration. So sometimes we would be using it vowel, sometimes we would be using it as vibration. So interchangeably we would be using those 2 words together. When a letter is not vibrated, that means there is no vowel on it, so by default it will be at rest, and that rest is called as sukoon. And say take an example of it, that's ba. So if there is no vibration, you would see it without any sign on it, no diacritical sign below it, no diacritical sign above it. So it is like that one. In some script you would see it like this with a small circle on the top. So that's also mean the same thing, that this letter is at rest. And similarly you can see that sign also, which is the jazm sign, and this is also the rest. So a letter which is at rest can take any of these 3 states. That means it could have nothing, it could have a small circle on that one, it could have that one. It's just only the script difference in different countries that they use that one, but you should be aware of it, that that letter is at rest. So these all letters are now at rest, and since they are at rest, so they would be called as sakin. And if you take an example from Quran, then you can see we have taken this example from Al-Fatiha. That's a Surah Al-Fatiha, chapter number 1, and that's verse number 2. That's how our reference system would work. That's the name of the surah, that means name of the chapter, that's the number of the chapter, and that's the verse number. And that's translation of it. If you look at that one, that is your rest sign, this one and that one together. So that's the sukoon sign. The letter on which the sukoon sign is written, or the rest sign is there, that letter itself is called as a sakin letter. That means that letter is basically at rest. Now that you know, when a letter is at rest, it could take nothing, it could take a small circle, it could have that sign, depending on where the script comes from, means from which country it comes from. Therefore, a letter with rest you would see in different scripts, like any of the form. So be aware of it. It could be have nothing, it could have a small circle, it could have that just sign. When a letter is not at rest, then it will have vibration. There are 3 kinds of vowels. The first vowel is the short vowel. Let's take again the letter ba, and you can say there is nothing in there, so it is a rest. So if you wanted to give a vibration, you would put something above it. So if a diacritical sign come above it, that sign itself would be called as fatha. That's how you have to pronounce it in English when you want to pronounce it. That's how you have to write it in Arabic. So that is fatha, vibration. If a diacritical sign comes below it, and this sign itself is called as kasra. That's how you have to pronounce it. That's how you have to write it. Now the third kind of vibration is dhamma. And that is how you write it. Oh, you can see it in Arabic like that one. This will give you a sound of boo. In all 3 cases, you can see that the vibration is either, or the vowel is either written above or below a letter. Now, let's take an example of how you can see them on a word. We take a verb from Surah Al-Baqarah, and that means they are certain. So when you see a word, or in this case is a verb, you would see all the 3 kind of vibration has been applied to it. So the first one that you can see is the fatha, and it is on the top of the noon. And the second one that you can see is kasra, which is at below it, and the 2 on the top is a dhamma. That's how the vibration would comes all together on a word. Now let's see all those vibration in action when we apply it on the alphabet table. So now we are able to produce the sound from that alphabet table because we are applying the sounds on it. The first vibration is the fatha. So when you apply it on it, fatha, and that is alif with a fatha, that becomes hamza basically, and that's hamza now. Their sounds would be exactly the same. So that is a, and that's also a, ba, ta, fa, ja, ha, kha, da, va, ra, za, sa, sha, so, da, ta, va, a, gha, fa, qa, ka, la, ma, na, wa, ha, ya. So these are the sounds that comes out when our vibration fatha is applied to the alphabet. Now let's see how when kasra is applied to it, what kind of a sound can we produce. So that would give you E, and that's again the E, B, T, C, G, He, He, D, The, Ri, Zi, Si, Shi, Sui, Lui, Ti, Di, I, Ri, Fi, Qi, Ki, Li, Mi, Ni, Wi, He, Yi. And let's see now the dhamma in action. When you apply it, it will be U, and that's again U, Bu, Tu, Su, Ju, Hu, Hu, Du, Zu, Ru, Zu, Su, Shu, Su, Du, Tu, Zu, Ru, Ru, Fu, Ku, Ku, Lu, Mu, Nu, Wu, Hu, and You. That was so far the vibration of all the alphabets when different kind of vowels has been applied to it. Within the alphabet table, there are some special letters. One of them is alif, another one is waw, and the last one is ya. Why they are special? Because their speciality is that they produce the same sound as the vibration. The fatha has the same sound as an alif. Alif has a a, and fatha has, when you put it on any alphabet, it will produce the at the end sound will a there. So, or we can say that alif has a corresponding sound as fatha. Similarly, dhamma has a corresponding letter of wow, or we can say that wow has a corresponding sound of dhamma, or kasra has a corresponding letter ya, or we can say that ya has a corresponding sound of ye. They are special because they have the sound like the vibration, which leads us to our second vowels category. We take again the ba with fatha. You can see that will give us a ba, but when alif has been added at the end of such kind of a vibration, that means just before the alif, if we have a fatha, that will stretch the sound of that ba. So now this is not a ba, but that would be ba. This case, you can see the shape of it like that. Similarly, the boo, when is attached to a corresponding letter vowel, then that will stretch the sound of boo to boo. You would see it like this, boo. And similarly, when a letter with a kasra is joined to a corresponding letter ya, that will stretch the sound of the b to b, and you would see it in text like this. Because these alif, wow, and ya combination with these vibration stretches the sound of an alphabet, that's why these letters at this stage are now called as the letters of prolongation, or in Arabic you can say it huruf maddi. Now that isn't alif madda, that isn't wow madda, that is ya madda, because that is alif prolongation, that is wow prolongation, and that is ya prolongation. We can take an example from Quran now. Let's, for the case of that ba, we take it from Maliki. Just before the alif you have a letter with fatha. So that basically comes in that category. Now that is alif madda is being forming here. Maliki. So you would be stretching this sound to Maliki. And that another one for this one, which is al-maghdubi. The vowel mother is forming exactly here. Just before the vowel, there's a letter with dhamma. So that is al-maghdubi, al-maghdubi. And lastly, the example of this category, which is the ya madda. You can see in this case is the madda is forming right here. Just before the ya, the kasra is written over there. When a ya comes in the middle of somewhere, it changes the shape from this to with a double dot. So that is a ya has a corresponding vibration e, so that would be the madda is forming here, and that's the ya madda. The whole word would be ar-rahim, ar-rahim. Just after the long vowels, we would have the third category, which is the double vibration. You put it another diacritical sign on the top of it. Since that one was fatha and now it is double, so that would be called as fathatain. In Arabic, when there is a something with a double, then ain would come over there, so that means fathatain is the double vowels that you talk about. Second one, when there is kasra and you change it into the double, that would be then kasratain. And similarly with the dhamma, when you change it to double, then that would be dhammatain. All these three kind of vowels that you say, fathatain, kasratain, and dhammatain, are called as tanween in Arabic. These three is not the only one, not this one, that one, and this one, but this all three together, the name as tanween. And in English you can call it as noonation, because there is noon sound you can hear. The sound is ban, and if you look at it, ba with the fatha and noon sakin, that joins together, it will give you a sound of ban, and that's the ban. And similarly this one, ba with kasra and noon sakin, will give you a sound of bin. And now thirdly, when you go to that, and that will give you the sound of bun, because that is the letter with the dhamma, and then the last sound with the noon sakin. So noon sakin sound you would hear there, and that's why it is called as noonation, because the noon sign is there, and this will be the bun sound. Now if you take the example from Quran, so this is naran, that's the naran. Run is there, that means with ra with fatha and then noon sakin sound can you hear there. That is naran. and similarly with, and it gives you the sound of in. That word is shay'in, and similarly in this case is the sound you can see here. Adhimun, adhimun is called as noonation because these all letters has the sound of noon at the end. And that was for this lesson. So what you have learned so far is that there are 28 alphabets altogether in Arabic, and there are 3 categories of vowels altogether. First is the short vowels. Within that short vowels you have the 3 kinds. One of them was a fatha, another one was a kasra, and last one was the dhamma. And then you come across the another one, long vowels, which when a corresponding sound is being attached to a letters of alif, waw or ya, and there was corresponding sounds there that stretches the sound out like ba, bi, boo, and that was the stretching sound or prolongation sound, and those letters were called as the huruf maddi. One of them was the alif madda, another one was the waw madda, and the third one was the ya madda, because these all were stretching the sounds of the letter before it. And the last, you have seen that double vibration where the 2 vibration would come on the top or below it and producing a sound of an at the end with the noon sakin sound that you see it here. In the next lesson we will be looking at that how the words are formed and grouped into nouns, verbs and particles. So see you then in next lesson. Sadaqallahul Azim.